like it.
You're watching Channel 22, Lawndale's community cable television for the South Bay.
Good evening, fans, and welcome to another exciting Channel 22 sports presentation. Tonight's contest, the crosstown rivalry between the Hawthorne Cougars and the Leuzinger Olympians here at Hellcat Field at Hawthorne High School. I'm Rufus Washington, returning with you, joined tonight, as always, by Dave Marks. And Dave, you've been here the last couple of weeks, so do the honors of setting the table for what the fans can expect in tonight's contest.
Well, I think they can expect a contest that's going to see, first of all, a rivalry between two very close schools in terms of proximity. They're going to see, a team in Hawthorne that won their last game, so of course they're upbeat, although this has been a rebuilding year for them. And they're going to see a team in Leuzinger that's going to be somewhat angry because they, of course, lost last week, the big one to Peninsula, and they want to prove that that loss was a fluke and get quickly back into the win column.
Leuzinger also has the additional motivation of wanting to avenge last year's 39-12 defeat over at Leuzinger to Hawthorne. Leuzinger, as you mentioned, comes in, even though they're coming off a tough loss last week to Peninsula, they do come in 6 up and 2 down, 4-1 in Bay League competition, and as you said, Hawthorne uncharacteristically having a down year. We were talking a little earlier, and to our recollection, this may be the first year in over 10 years that Hawthorne doesn't look to have a shot at the playoffs, as their record is 3-5 overall and 2-3 in Bay League competition.
Yes, it's been a very solid program, and conversely for Leuzinger, they had been down for a few years, and now they're kind of on the up and up. So you have basically a rebuilding year for Hawthorne, which is sort of a surprise for them, but they feel that if they can win their last 2 games and go in over 500 in the league and over 500 overall, they may have a shot at an at-large bid. And, of course, Leuzinger right now, they don't have much of a realistic shot at getting first place because even if they do pull into a tie with Peninsula, Peninsula has the tiebreaker. But right now they're in a tie for second, a virtual tie at 4-1 with Miracosta. However, because they did beat Miracosta earlier in the year, both at 4-1, if Miracosta and Leuzinger wind up in a tie at the end of the year, the edge goes to Leuzinger. So quite a bit on the line here tonight.
And, of course, in addition to all that, as if the players need a little more inspiration, they're also playing tonight for the Mayor's Cup. That's what this crosstown rivalry is characterized by. And there you see the mayors, Mayor Harold Hoffman there in the gray suit. And I believe that that's Mayor Larry Guidi of Hawthorne, obviously clad in the Hawthorne colors.
See why we needed you back, Rufus? I would have never known that. I would have just said the guys down there holding the trophy. We would have never known that.
Well, that's what's at stake tonight. That's what these guys are playing for, and so obviously, and again, as you and I both know, records are almost meaningless in this particular contest. Obviously, the team that has the better record would be favored if we were odds makers, but these guys know each other, and they know each other well. Most of them have played with and against each other since grade school, so there are no surprises that are going to come up here. They know each other's talent level, and they're just going to go out and bang and hit.
That's a nice-looking trophy. I mean, that's worth getting up for this game. I mean, both teams have quite a bit to prove here tonight. You know that they do play against each other in basketball, and that's a pretty heated rivalry as well. One note before this game kicks off, as far as the injury report is concerned, there are a few Hawthorne Cougars that are not going to play. They're not in uniform tonight, but I think possibly, although Leuzinger has only one player that's going to be sidelined, The injury may be a little more significant because the injury to Leuzinger is to Tavita McCollough. Now, Tavita McCollough is a big fullback, and he is a cornerstone of the linebackers on the defense. And more than what he does carrying the ball, he is one of the 4 solid ball carriers that Leuzinger Olympians have. They are going to miss him defensively because Hawthorne is a team that does have a pretty good running attack. And without him in there in the middle breaking things up, that could be a key injury tonight. He will not play. He's not suited up. Doesn't even have a warm-up jersey on. He should be back next week. He hurt his shoulder last week in a loss against Peninsula, and so he will not see action. They hope to have him back next week, however.
And one other programming note, whereas most fans are accustomed to this game being the traditional final game of the regular season, in a break with custom. In fact, both teams will have another game next week. Leuzinger, rather, will be at Santa Monica, and Hawthorne will entertain Beverly Hills here at Hellcat Field. So there's still yet another game to go in the season, but for Leuzinger, each one of these Bay League games is an opportunity, although their best chance at the Bay League Championship got away from them last week, and now they're going to need some help, obviously. But they've got a shot, and so they've got something to play for.
And one thing about the Leuzinger Olympians is their coach's main concern, not so much this week about getting up, because, of course, they, in the past weeks prior to the Peninsula game, being up and being prepped during the week was one of the keys. Well, they're ready. They want to win. They want to get back into the right column. But he's very concerned about the holding and the clipping penalties at the right time. And in talking with the Hawthorne coaching staff before the ball game, they said that they're kind of aware of that, and they know that's what Leuzinger's Achilles heel is as far as the pass blocking, and that's one of the weaknesses on the rushing attack is that they do commit clipping penalties, and last week they committed a very big one that cost them a potential tie against Peninsula. It set them back to 4th and long, and they went for it on 4th down, didn't get it, and Peninsula scored on the next play. So Leuzinger tonight has to watch those clips and those penalties if they want to, no matter what the score is, you don't want to commit that if you're looking about going on and possibly succeeding in postseason.
And tonight, one of the things you're noticing, if fans are wondering who's being introduced, they're introducing the seniors here tonight to the Hawthorne home crowd.
They've got quite a couple of them. You may remember last year, Joe Echimandu, who ran across your screens like a rocket. Well, he now plays for Cal State, I believe Cal State Berkeley, and doing pretty well. They're using him as a wide receiver up there, from what I understand. His younger brother, Kingsley Echimandu, in the 11th grade, he's here. Of course, Caven Jackson, one of the captains and big wide receivers last year. We called his name many times. He is no longer here. The quarterback is still here, of course. Eric Mwala. Mwala, of course, is still just a junior, and he is a very good quarterback, but it's a matter of his receiving core is somewhat inexperienced. Hawthorne tends to try to do it on the ground with Lamar Keeble. Lamar Keeble was in the school last year but not able to play due to the fact that he kind of transferred in late. I believe he was on the track and field team, but Lamar Keeble is an 11th grader, and he will be in one backfield spot tonight. And Andre Gaines, who is the senior captain, one of the seniors, he will be at another backfield spot. So if Hawthorne is going to be successful, they know they're going to have to do it on the ground. And for Leuzinger to be successful, well, they'll have to want to keep up that ground attack and not commit some of the penalties that have hurt them in previous drives.
From the press clippings I was reading, David, seemed to indicate that Leuzinger put the ball up 20 times last week, which had to be a new record in the Coach Markham era.
And all in all, Rufus, they did pretty well with it. They tend to pass if they're going to put the ball up. They tend to do it before the end of the half. And they did it well. They hit on a 69-yard strike last week. Of course, Bell hitting Fontenot going down the left sideline. Bell last week after the ball game told me to tell the viewers that he is not 5 feet. He is 5'4". Okay, now that's his side of the story. When I spoke to assistant coach tonight, Mike Witt said, well, if he's 5'4", I'm 6'3". Okay, fella, I'm just delivering the message. I mean, that's between you guys. But program has him at 5 feet. He says he's at 5'4". He's a good quarterback. That's all that matters.
And we've got a kickoff. And it looks like it's going to sail out of bounds. And there's the flag. It was over on Donald Bell's side of the field, but it did go out of bounds. So Leuzinger will get the ball out at the 35-yard line, it should be. where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians.
And for Leuzinger, Darnell Charles will be at full strength tonight. One of the keys for their lack of success last week was the fact that Darnell Charles got hurt 2 weeks ago against Culver City. He hurt an ankle. He did not play until the second half of last week's ball game, and he was basically ineffective when he was in there. He was hampered. Saw him before the ball game. You see he's in there now, lined up on the right in the backfield in that wing, and he is ready to go.
They pitch it back to Charles. The ball comes loose, and it's going to be recovered by Hawthorne. So Darnell Charles fumbles on the first play from scrimmage. Hawthorne recovers in Leuzinger territory at the Leuzinger 48-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for him.
And Richard Burns, the man that picked up the fumble, well, not a good way for Leuzinger to start off the ball game there. The man we were talking about, Charles, getting the first carry from scrimmage. He had positive yards, and I don't know what happened. Did he get hit? Well, he was on the way down, and he was just stripped. Just stripped the ball. It looked like Salim Stevens was the one that made the strip, and of course Richard Burns makes a pickup. So here are the Hawthorne Cougars with the first break of the ball game. They've got it at the 48.
Where it's a 1st and 10 for the Cougars. They drop back. Boy, here's just a loop pass, and it's incomplete. That pass intended for Moala from his brother Eric Moala, who's also a captain on the football team. So Eric Moala trying to hit to Lou Moala.
And that was floated up there like a jump ball and very nearly picked off. So they will have the 2nd and 10.
Still here early in the first quarter, fans, if you're just joining us. As a matter of fact, it's on the 3rd play from scrimmage. Another incompletion. That pass intended for Damon Wilson.
And Fontenot got in there on the coverage. Terry and Fontenot with a break up on the double team. So we see already Hawthorne going to the air on the 1st and 2nd down. They are a team that they have not passed as effectively as they would like because of the fact that it is a rebuilding year and Moala is getting to know that young receiving core, but not gun shy. And they face the 3rd and 10.
So it's a 3rd and 10. Moala in the center. Here this time they keep it on the ground over the right side, and the ball comes loose, but the officials indicate it's down. That was Gates with the carry. Another captain on this football team, Andre Gates, and it's going to make it a 4th and long for the Cougars.
It becomes a 3 and out, and all in all a good defensive stand for Leuzinger on the 1st.
Cougars show punt. Here's a snap. They fake the punt. They put it up in the air. Pass is completed. They pick up the 1st down, and still rumbling, finally brought down, but not until it advances well into Olympian territory at the 20-yard line. That was Gaines with the reception, and Coach Dan Robbins goes into his infamous bag of tricks early here in the first quarter on the 4th and long.
And that's something, of course, excuse me, I'm so excited, I'm choking. That's something that Dan Robbins is noted for. You see on the pass there, it's Nico Fatai, who is, of course, the punter. And, well, they pick up a fumble on the first play, and, of course, you think they're going to go 3 and out. They fake the punt, and they pick up the big 1st down, and they're in big business.
And I'm sure that Coach Markham has scouted this team in the past once again to keep it on the ground there with Andre Gaines with the carry for little or no gain. Undoubtedly, Coach Markham has scouted this team this season, but until you actually play against a Dan Robbins coach team on the field, it's hard to be prepared for the bag of tricks. I mean, he's certainly the Bobby Bowden of South Bay football, to say the least, when it comes to football trickery.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him a couple of times last year, how he kept his teams in some tough games. They were able to come back after some big deficits.
2nd down and 9, I believe, is the indication. And once again, they keep it on the ground. Gaines doing yeoman-like duty tonight with the carries. So we're still early in the first quarter, fans. 9:55 left. Leuzinger had the opening possession, fumbled it away on the first play from scrimmage. Hawthorne went through 3 downs and converted a 4th down fake punt, and that's where we are right now, as they're inside the 20-yard line. Waller drops back to pass. There are flags on the play. Hits his receiver, but there are flags. The receiver was number 24 on that play, and that's Lamar Keeble.
Well, it looks like some sort of screen they were designing, and they may get a procedure call here. Yep, and that's exactly what it is, a legal procedure. Somebody moved, and it was a well-designed play, a little too well-designed. The flag came in right away.
Nice look there at Moala, who's been running this Cougar offense for a couple of years now. So it's a 3rd and 11 now for the Cougars. Ball just outside the 20-yard line. Let's call it 21.
And it's safe to say I think it's 4-down territory at this point.
Backs are split. They fake it to the second back three. Here's a pass over the middle. Once again, they hit Gaines. He's got first down. He's down near the 5-yard line. Finally brought down by Donald Bell.
Well, Coach Rahman saw the film last week against Peninsula, and the play action worked very well. Of course, Peninsula, the team, very skilled with both the run and the pass, and that was one of their weapons against Leuzinger last week. There, the play action fake buys the time, and they get the coverage that they want, get the linebacker on that speedy back, and the speed is going to win most of the time.
Donald Bell showing good defensive coverage, though, by staying home on the fake. Here they keep it on the ground. They go to the middle. Ball comes loose. Again, the indication from the referee is that the play was blown dead.
Well, what you got to say about Hawthorne, although they are the underdog, they are unpredictable. And the unpredictable offense can give you problems. At about the 8:30 mark of this first quarter.
So it's a 2nd and goal, ball at the 7-yard line. Again, Eric Nawala under center at the quarterback. They fake it and hand it on the inside handoff. Once again, that's Gaines, and Gaines is down inside the 5 to about the 3, where it'll be a 3rd down and goal now.
And you have to keep in mind for Leuzinger, Tavita McCollough not in the lineup tonight, and normally this is Tavita McCollough territory. He gets in there and stands somebody up, but of course he's not able to play, and the Hawthorne offensive line taking advantage of that.
And Gaines is a tough load to bring down, listed at 5'10", 220 pounds. It's hard to get your arms around someone that's that compact. And again, they stand Gaines straight up this time for a no gain on the play. Number 45 for the Olympians.
That's Bo Moimoy. Bo Moimoy, of course, with the big hit. Well, he's showing we don't miss McCollough at this point. Bo Moimoy.
Exactly.
Another one of those 2 Letterman players, track and shot put. And coming up big, and of course it's not going for a field goal here and try to crack that end zone.
4th and goal from the 3-yard line. Leuzinger defense being put to the early test here. Here's the pitch out, and they're going to stop him. So Leuzinger rises to the occasion. In fact, they drop him for a yard loss on the play. On the carry for the Olympians was Momo Vamunga, and Vamunga was stopped knocked for a loss of 1 on the play. So Leuzinger is going to take over possession as we watch the replay here. There's the pitch by Moala. Leuzinger defense stringing out real well. And let's see if we can give props to. It's hard to see who was there under the pile. Looked like it may have been Therian Fontenot. So it's 1st and 10 now for the Olympians again. Their second opportunity with the ball. And again, they give it to Darnell Charles and a huge show of confidence. And obviously their leading ground gainer, guy makes one fumble. You certainly aren't going to go away from him for that.
And do we see Shaz Foster in there, starting quarterback? Looked like I saw Shaz. Well, we'll have to take a look at that closely. Looks like number 5 is Shaz Foster. That's a little bit of a surprise if he's starting. Unless my eyes are deceiving, yeah, that's Shaz Foster. Unless they've changed uniforms, that looks like Shaz Foster.
Well, just judging by the height alone, I would say it's Chaz on the carry that time, is number 7 Fontenot, and picks up maybe a yard or 2 on the play.
Shaz Foster, of course, can play quarterback. He does have an arm. He's the backup QB. And we don't know if anything happened to Donald Bell or why the switch was made, but of course, Chaz Foster, one of those players who also plays on the basketball team.
So we've got 6 minutes left here in the first quarter, halfway through, scoreless contest so far. Once again, Darnell Charles goes around the left side, gets out across the 20 to the 25-yard line, where that should be enough for the first down. If not, it's going to be awfully close. Looks like they're going to mark it about a yard short here. You see the handoff to Charles as he goes around the left side, goes airborne, picks up another 2 or 3. It's going to make it, well, we've got a conflict between the down and distance and the scoreboard. This time it's Fontenot with the carry.
And a good pursuit on that time, going down the line on the tackle by Fontenot. As you can see, block Foster on the block there. And not able to spring him, not able to get to the outside. So they, as far as where they're spotting the ball with the down markers, a little confusing, but.
Yeah, it is, because you would think that's a second down play, but they're going to call it first down. Once again, it's Charles with the carry, carrying the ball a little loosely, but picks up good yardage on the play as he picks up close to 8 yards on that play, and it's going to make it a second down and 2 for the Olympians.
Only thing I can think of is maybe they didn't give him the first down. That could be possible, but unfortunately we don't have the benefit of the wire mic on the field with the official, but we do the best we can. We improvise.
Exactly. And once again, here's the carry. This is Fontenot. Fontenot's coming around the right side. He's going to try to outrun the defense, and doesn't look like you're going to catch him. Touchdown, Leuzinger. Therian Fontenot with a 62-yard touchdown run here with 4:19 left in the first quarter. No flags anywhere on the field. Puts Leuzinger on top by a score of 6-0.
And I think as we see this one back, what we're going to see that creates a touchdown is when he cuts in now, and he's just around there, and nobody's going to catch him. Now it becomes a track meet, and it's that little cut, just takes a little bit, little head fake, little cut one way to the other, get the defense going one way, and you got that big TD, and he scored on a long bomb on the pass last week. This time he does it on the run as they go for the 2-point conversion.
And you got a stoppage of play here. Looks like this is going to be a procedure against the Olympians.
That's one of the frustrating things if your opponent, for the most part, playing against Leuzinger this year. You play very well. You do a lot of good things, which Hawthorne did do. I mean, they pick up the fumble. They had a good drive. They weren't able to score on the fourth down play when they were stopped. But Leuzinger comes right back, and they make a back-breaking run. Usually it's Charles that makes a back-breaking run. This time it's Fontenot. So you say right back to the drawing board.
62-yard touchdown run at that by Fontenot. So they'll try the 2-point conversion yet again. And this time Foster keeps it, and he's going to be stopped short of the goal line. So they fail to convert on the 2-point attempt. So our score stands: Leuzinger 6, Hawthorne 0. However, Hawthorne will be receiving the kickoff here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. First quarter action from Hellcat Field.
Well, it's been a pretty decent one so far here at the old Hellcat. Good to have Rufus back with us, of course. Rufus, a veteran of how many years on Channel 22?
11 now.
Wow.
Of course, I probably only get half credit for this year, considering I missed 4 games.
Well, when honor and duty calls, one must answer it.
Or when the paycheck calls, you got to answer. Yeah. So,
yeah, I tried to make it look good. What can I tell you?
But
Rufus
you guys
isn't
certainly missed.
Yeah, Rufus is not in the National Guard. Let's put it like that.
No, it's fun to be back, and what better game to come back to? I mean, if you got to come back to one, to come back to a Hawthorne Leuzinger game. And here's the Leuzinger kickoff being taken by one of the up men at the 25-yard line. That's Gaines. Gaines comes around the left side. He's in a track meet of his own. However, the Leuzinger special teams has the angle on him, but they don't bring him down until he crosses midfield into Leuzinger territory at the Leuzinger 46-yard line. So, a good special teams play by the Cougars gets them in excellent field position, Dave.
Yeah, and one thing about doing ball games at this field, when you see a play like that for the home team, Hawthorne, we're in an unlike in Leuzinger where we're outside, we're in an enclosed booth. And when you start to hear this booth rumble and shake, it gets a little you know that the home team is doing something, but you can hear them making a lot of noise above us and below us, and they started to sway on that play.
So they've got two receivers, back split. They hand it off to the second back through, who's number 24. Got a flag on the play. That was, again, Lamar Keeble that they handed it off to. But this flag will certainly be an interesting one. Late flag, indication that it's holding against the Cougars, so that's going to back them up 10 yards.
Yeah, David Brown got up there that time for Leuzinger. That's going to put him back. It'll be first and 20. About 4:04 to go in the first quarter. Unless we have a decline. It don't seem like they're marking it back, so they made us decide to decline this and take the loss of yards, which apparently they will do.
Okay, so the Leuzinger defense did elect to take the loss, makes it a 2nd and 13. Ball back now at the midfield stripe. This time they fake the handoff. Waller goes over the middle, hits his receiver, and it's good enough for a first down. That completion to number 10, and I'm going to assume that that's Jamaro Smith.
Yeah, and Bell was right there on the coverage, but had a perfect throw and an even better catch, even a more better catch. How about that?
Waller, this time they keep it on the ground, hands it off to number 24 for the carry, Lamar Keeble.
And stop going around the end with 3:25 to go in this first quarter. Hey, you're impressed with the way Moala throws the ball. Of course, we were impressed with him last season, and he's got a whole nother year to go. There's a lot of poise back there. Knows how to hide that ball pretty well on the fakes.
So it's a 2nd down and 9 now for the Cougars. Still in first quarter action. There's a pass over the middle, dual reception, but they're going to call it an interception by the Olympians.
C.J. Johnson and Nathan Patrick. Nate Patrick got tangled up there, and it would be good if we had a replay from another angle on that one, because, I mean, it was thrown like a seed, but, of course, the defender picks it up.
So the turnover gives the Olympians the ball as we see it again here. And I tell you, Chester Johnson must have just taken it away from Nathan Patrick, because, man, that looked like a dual reception, which will go by rule to the receiver. Darnell Johnson now trying to emulate Therian Fontenot. Doesn't quite get the touchdown, but I tell you, he picked up a lot of yardage on the play as he takes it down to the 20. Well, let's see where they place it. They're going to place it at the 30-yard line.
They are game breakers. I tell you, they come up with that big play. And they are guaranteed. I mean, that is something that they definitely missed last week against Peninsula. They missed the potential for that kind of big play run from that man that they didn't get. Give him a little bit of an opening, and that's basically all he needs.
And that was nearly a 60-yard run in and of itself for Darnell Johnson. Once again, to keep it on the ground, this is Fontenot with the carry. Goes around the right side. Short gain on that play. Donnell Charles, rather, thank you. So, already here in the first quarter, Darnell Charles has 60 yards on the carry, and Therian Fontenot has at least 60 because he picked up 62 on the touchdown run. So the Leuzinger running game seems to be back in gear here in the early going. Darnell Charles again with the carry. Looks like he's got enough for the first down. If not, he's going to be awfully close.
Under 150 to go in this first quarter. This drive for this to remain a competitive ball game. Hawthorne Cougars have to make some sort of a stand right about here. I mean, it's early, but from their point of view, you don't want it to get away too soon.
Exactly. I mean, your point's well taken, Dave, and it's a very astute observation as they.
Now looks like they did get the first down on this particular play. They just take it straight ahead. I don't know if they'll not even a need to measure it. They did get the first down.
Excuse me, fans came up with a frog in my throat there. Maybe even a cougar, but I think I got it out.
It's a change in season. We're all going through it right about this time.
So again, they keep it on the ground, and as they go around the left side, they pick up 3 or 4 on the carry.
Yeah, this time of year, about a week ago when we were here with Ken. By the way, if Ken is out there watching, we'd like to thank Ken for filling in on these past couple of broadcasts with us past couple of weeks. We were saying that Ken was in his shirt sleeves. It was rather warm back here on the West Coast the past couple of weeks. It's not too cold tonight, but it noticeably dipped, maybe 10, 15 degrees cooler than it was last week.
Good football weather, though, and I would imagine, and here they go to the air. The receiver gets turned around as Foster throws it over the outside shoulder. His receiver was looking inside on that play.
He's looking for Darnell Charles that time. And, of course, Shaz Foster, his first pass attempt of the night. He did not start the first series at quarterback, but this is his second series, third series for Leuzinger, and the second for him at the QB.
So it's a 3rd down and 5 for the Olympians now. Ball is at about the 15-yard line. Again, this is Fontenot hits the hole, comes back left side, scores a touchdown from the 15-yard line, 15-yard touchdown run for Therian Fontenot. His second score of the night comes at the 21-second mark of the first quarter, and it extends Leuzinger's lead now to 12-0 with the extra point attempt coming up.
Yeah, it looked like he got a pick from the referee here. Referee in the right place at the right time. I think we're going to see him. Yeah, well, I don't know from this side. Yeah, it looked like a didn't mean to do it, but got a little screen there, and that enabled him to get the little bit of extra daylight that he needed, because it looked like he wasn't going to get there at first.
Oh, there's a double handoff, and they scored a 2-point conversion by Darnell Charles. The first flip was to Fontenot. He flipped it over to Charles. Charles takes it in. And so now that gives you the more typical football score, 14-0 here in the first quarter. Leuzinger leads at Hal Cap Field. They've yet to put the 2 points on the board, but they will momentarily, because the conversion was indeed good.
Well, a far cry from the game we saw last year down at Olympian Field between these two teams. And I believe we said at that particular time, as we looked at the Leuzinger roster, we said with all these underclassmen coming back, you expected good things from them in 1999, and so far we have seen that. Hawthorne, simply a matter of, all coaches know that you do have to rebuild. You're going to be in a situation where you're going to lose some of the seniors that they lost last season, and it's simply you're going to have to maybe struggle, take it a little tough for about a year. And this is a squad, as you take a look at a lot of the underclassmen that they have, if they don't make the playoffs this year, and that's a distinct possibility, they should be back in tough again next season.
Again, this is going to be taken by one of the up men also, number 22, and he's brought down at the 35-yard line. And that was Courtney Barton with the handle. You sort of get prepared, fans, for the deep men to handle the ball, and that's the second Leuzinger kickoff, where one of the guys, where one of the blocking backs way up on the front of the line gets the handle.
And the kicking game, in that aspect, not really a factor for either one of these teams, although Leuzinger does have a pretty good punting game. They don't use it that often. They don't have to use it that often, but they do have some pretty good punting ability.
Inside handoff to Gaines off of the fake, and it goes absolutely nowhere. It doesn't fool Leuzinger at all. In fact, they drop him for a loss of a yard on the play.
That's the last play of the first quarter.
And after one quarter, on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 as you see the Leuzinger defense bringing down Andre Gaines. Leuzinger, on the benefit of 2 Therian Fontenot touchdown runs, leads by a score of, in our books, 14-0. Although the scoreboard, we're going to check the scoreboard here. They continue to show 12, but our records reflect a 14-0 Leuzinger lead here in the first quarter.
Well, we have a conflict on the score. We thought we saw them score that second 2-point conversion, but now they are putting it up on the scoreboard. So they are putting it up on the scoreboard now. So I guess they do have it correct. It is 14-0. So yeah, the first touchdown by Fontenot, they didn't get the 2 points. The second time they did get it. So now they finally officially credit it to him as the second quarter will begin, and the Olympians are on the offense with a second down. Or actually Hawthorne on the offense.
Actually Hawthorne's on, and Leuzinger looks like they encroached, and so if our guess is correct, and it is, Hawthorne will pick up 5 yards. It'll make it a second down and 5 for him now as the ball's moved out to the 40-yard line.
Well, some other games taking place in the Bay League of note. Culver City is at Mira Costa. Of course, Mira Costa and Leuzinger are tied. And Peninsula is at Santa Monica. And Inglewood at Beverly Hills. Other games taking place today in the Bay League. The most important one, I guess, is Culver City at Mira Costa.
Gaines picks up the first down on the carry as he takes it out near midfield. They spot it at the 49-yard line, where it's a 1st and 10 now for the Cougars. This time they fake it to Gaines and pitch it back to Keeble. Keeble got some running room before he's drilled over on the sideline. Drilled there by number 11 for the Olympians. That's Elias. I'm not sure if we ever got that straight. Elias Ellis, I believe is what it should be, although the program shows Elias. Let's enjoy this replay. There's a pitch by Muala.
As you see, there is a flag that came in, probably a clip. This one is coming back. See the hit at the end, but looked like, yeah, definitely a clip of some sort. We saw that right at the beginning of the play, so it was a good run, but it goes for naught, and they lose the yards.
So the clip takes it back to the 40-yard line where it'll be a second down and 20. They've got to go from the 40 to the 40 to pick up the first down. Muala with the quarterback keeper. Muala's got some running room, doing a lot of dancing, and he picks up the first down. Hard to second guess his effort. However, if he kept churning forward, may have gotten a lot more than the 20 that he picked up, but most importantly for the Cougar effort, he picks up the first down here as we enjoy this replay. There you see the fake. Muala hits around the left side.
That was a keeper all the way. Good block there by number 73 on the play. Lico on the block.
First down play now gives it to the more likely back, Andre Gaines, and Gaines picks up 5 yards on the play. So right now the Cougars got some offensive momentum going and just enough to get the crowd and the band back into the game for them.
Yeah, this booth is going to start rocking any minute now if they do score the touchdown. And this is always an active crowd here at Hawthorne. Last year they had quite a bit to cheer about when they won the Bay League. They actually beat Peninsula last year for the first time and took the Bay League title from them.
Second down and 5, and that pass is a bit high. Now we're going to have a flag on the play.
I know you've got to be impressed with. We saw Muala throw last year, and he looks like he's improved 5 years in the course of the offseason. I mean, his poise back there and his ability to fake. He's quite a gunner back there in that pocket. I mean, got to admire just a little flick right here. I mean, off the other foot, and of course he puts it in the right spot. It's not completed, but the interference call. Shaz Foster and C.J. Johnson look like they got Foster for the interference. So with 10-12 to go in this second quarter, a significant ray of hope for Hawthorne. Discussing where to put the ball right now, here where to mark it.
Well, they definitely would like to put some points on the board, and the 7 would help their cause more so than a 3. And right now, with the penalty, they're going to be in their best, well, not their best field position of the night, because in fact we know they were down inside the 5 at the 3, and were stopped on downs. But this is their second best drive of the night, and it's 1st and 10 for them at the 20-yard line. And now you got Leuzinger jumping offside. The whole right side of the Leuzinger defensive line jump, led, of course, by number 44, Jerry Howard. It's not the way Jerry wants his name mentioned on Channel 22, but we got to call it like we see it.
Call it like it is. As someone used to say, yeah, it may be the cadence that's doing it. The cadence there, Moala, that's pulling them.
Here's Gaines with the carry, and looks like Gaines has enough for the first down as he breaks inside the 10-yard line. Second time now that Hawthorne's been in the red zone, as it's called. First time they came up empty. This time they're more so in need of the score than they were the first time, as they trail by a score of 14-0 with just under 10 minutes left here in the first half. The backs are split. They hand it off to number 12, and I think they say he was down before they score the TD, and they do.
Yeah, he just slithered right through there. It looked like nobody touched him.
Well, he did, and I certainly want to see it. I thought his knee was down before he went into the end zone. Let's watch the replay again here.
Oh, that's I think if we were in the NFL, that might be what you call one of those replay timeouts.
Yeah, that's awfully close. Here's the extra point attempt, and then maybe we'll get a chance to see that replay again. Nonetheless, a 7 on the board. Kick is up, and it's good. So, at the 9:41 mark of the second quarter, as in fact we need to get who scored that on the 5, let's call it a 5-yard run with the extra point. Makes our score 14-7.
Well, that an impressive drive, and the key play of the drive, the 20-yard scramble by the quarterback, Miola. That was definitely the key on that drive there. I mean, that was it. If it's not for that, the whole complexion of the drive is totally different. So Moala with that big scramble, that leads to 7 points.
And so we got ourselves a ball game, fans. Here's the kickoff taken at the 10-yard line. That's Donald Bell with the return, so we know that Bell's doing okay. He's doing return duty. Brings it out to the 30-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians.
Now, if he doesn't go back into QB, you would wonder, would they consider using him in the backfield perhaps? Well, he's not going to be in Foster's going to be in their QB again, but could always put him in the backfield. He's quite a skilled runner, as you folks know who've watched some of their ball games this year.
So again, it's Foster in the center. There's the pitch to Fontenot. Fontenot breaks back through. Fontenot in a foot race down the sideline. Fontenot puts his step on him, and do they catch him? No. And he fumbles out of bounds. Touchdown, no. 70-yard touchdown run. No flags on the play for Therian Fontenot. So just like that, the Olympians giveth and the Olympians taketh.
Well, the referee might have been warning him there about be careful about those dives, because that was close to having that ball ruled probably
and here's
not
the
a
replay
touchdown.
Again. Fans, just enjoy this as David recaps it for you.
Well, I mean, once you get around that end, then a little deke in the streak right there, and last man to try to get him is Burns. Now let's see when he's going to leap there, and yeah, he's in, but ball crossed the plane. So, but being a little careless right there.
And here's the Olympian two-point conversion coming, and as are the odds on the play, I guess about half the time they're successful and half the time they're unsuccessful. This was the unsuccessful half of it.
Well, the Hawthorne Cougars are seeing what 6 of the previous 8 opponents have seen this season that have played against Leuzinger, is the fact that you can do real well, and of course Hawthorne had to take some time to score on that drive, and they come back with a back-breaking run, usually by that man Fontenot or by Darnell Charles. And Fontenot's got all three TDs tonight, and 2 of them were of the long variety.
And that Fontenot TD makes our score 20-7. Fontenot has touchdown runs of 62 yards, 70 yards, and 15 yards. Just real simple math tells you right off the bat that that comes to over 140 already here in the first 15 minutes of the contest. We play a 12-minute quarter, and we've got over 9 left here. So we've only played 15 minutes, and the guy has 140-some yards already.
Yes, and Rufus, get this. He has more, almost more, than what the whole team had last week against Peninsula. I believe they only had about 150-some-odd yards last week total as a team against the Peninsula Panthers, and he's almost broken that single-handedly tonight.
So Leuzinger quickly deflates the Hawthorne crowd, gains with the return, brings it out near the 30-yard line where Hawthorne will go on offense again, 1st and 10 here at the 9:18 mark of the second quarter. Hawthorne scored at the 9:41 mark, and Leuzinger 19 seconds later erases their score with another touchdown of their own.
Now, with the success that Moala had on the last drive, let's see what Leuzinger does defensively. If they do a little something different on the coverage. Keep in mind tonight they're without Tavita McCallow, their top lineman in the middle.
Gaines with the carry, stopped right at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. The way both of these teams put 9 men in the box, excuse me, if you will, right up on the line of scrimmage, any play that gets past the line of scrimmage has a very high percentage chance of going all the way.
And you see that right here again.
This time Moala drops back the pass, and he's nailed by number 22 on the play. Give Leuzinger the sack, and credit that sack to David Matthews.
Well, you see what the strategy is that time. We figured that they would have to do some change up. This time the blitz coming from the right side of the defense in the corner. As you see, number 22 from the right of your screen. Nobody picks him up, and he's got a clear path to Moala. No time to throw, no time to get anybody open.
9-yard loss on the play takes him back to the 21-yard line, where it's going to be a third. You can call it 17. It's more like 19.
No blitz this time. Straight one-on-one coverage.
Throws his pass incomplete, and behind his intended receiver, Nathan Patrick. So it's going to bring up a 4th down for the Cougars now.
So that blitz turns out to be the key play on this particular drive. Last drive, of course, is the 20-yard scramble. This time the blitz from the right side coming in and picking up the big sack. And that kind of changed the complexion of this drive. It's 3 and out, pending the punt. They faked one punt earlier, but I don't think they'll do it again. Not in this spot anyway.
You wouldn't think so here, and of course they don't, so it does go. Donald Bell has an opportunity to return, picks it up at his 40-yard line, gets to midfield where he's brought down by the Hawthorne special teams, just as it crosses over into Cougar territory. So at the 7:44 mark here in the first half, Leuzinger goes on offense again from the Cougar 49-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for them.
And of course, now let's see defensively. Do the Cougars play that 9 men in the box again and allow someone to get that big run? The game we did a couple of weeks ago against Long Beach Wilson, the score was 55 points before they caught on. Let's see what happens with the Cougars. Do they change up? We get some sort of stoppage of play here. I don't know if anybody took a timeout. Timeout Hawthorne, actually. And that's their first of the half. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, do they change up? Because they've had the big breakaway, back-breaking runs coming after a drive. And with a 20-7, they don't want to be facing a 30-point bulge by Leuzinger going into the half with 7:44 to go.
And as David indicated, with 7:44, we've got a score of 20-7 on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 as Hawthorne takes a timeout to talk it over. As we mentioned to you before, we still have more regular season football left. Both teams will have a game next week. Leuzinger at Santa Monica, and Hawthorne will be at home to Beverly Hills, I believe. I'll need to double check that for you.
It is Beverly Hills.
Okay.
I know because we'll be here for that one.
And shortly after that, we'll head into the playoff season. And to keep the ball on the ground coming out of the timeout.
As Ellis got his first carry of the night. Ellis, of course, had to come in last week and start the ball game in place of Darnell Charles, and all in all did pretty good. But not quite the breakaway ability that Charles has. Ability to turn a game around.
Once again, Foster in the center. They fumbled a handoff, and Hawthorne saying they got it. Let's look at the indication from the officials, and the indication is that they do. It's going to be Hawthorne football, courtesy of the Leuzinger turnover. Just the break that the Cougars needed.
Well, it looked like Burns picked this one up again, and this probably a problem on the exchange there. The change between, yeah, he never got it. He never got the ball. As you can see, David Avalos is the center. They're up. And just a little problem. Chaz Foster, of course, not starting, but at quarterback now. He did, Bell started the first series, but he's played, so still a little bit of an adjustment. And a break for Hawthorne, which they must capitalize on.
Moala pumps fake, goes left, puts it up, and it's intercepted by one of the shortest guys on the field, Donald Bell. Tall and hard, though, and Bell's got some running room. And Bell's finally brought down. So once again, Leuzinger giveth, and Leuzinger taketh away from the Cougars tonight.
And that ball was simply underthrown. Now that, not a good pass thrown by Moala. Looked like he had the time. He had the pump fake. I think he just tried to put a little too much touch on this one. And, of course, it underthrown. And Donald Bell, is he 5 feet or 5'4"? See the pump fake. He's got the time. He just didn't get enough on that one. Didn't get enough. Underthrown. He was trying to hit Damon Wilson. Wilson was open.
So Leuzinger on the handoff to Charles, keeps it on the ground. And they pick up maybe a yard on the play. The younger Echimandu in there on the play. That's Kingsley Echimandu, and he's a junior. Listed as a running back, not had an opportunity on the Hawthorne offense to see the younger Echimandu run the ball yet. But right now, Leuzinger's in possession. It's a 2nd down and 9 for them. Here's Fontenot. Fontenot goes around the right side, and Fontenot, on one of his shorter carries of the night, picks up about 5 on the play. Will make it a 3rd down and 3 for the Cougars.
About 6:10 to go in this first half, and they had the 9 men in the box that time. And they're able to get there to keep him from getting that key break that he needed to see some daylight.
They place the ball at the 33-yard line. They need to get just inside the 30. Here's a handoff to Charles. And this is going to be very close. Depends in large part on the official spot. And from the way the official is walking up, that chalk looks like it may be just a little bit short.
And, of course, you know they're going for it.
It is short, about 4th and half a yard.
Fourth down and inches.
Maybe Foster straight ahead.
Foster does go straight ahead, and he bounces off a couple of tackles and picks it up for a moment there when it looked like they had him. He gets down to the 23-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Olympians. For a second there, it looked like the Cougars had him, and he just bounced off the pile and went around the side, picked up the 1st down.
Well, I guarantee you in the NFL, you do that, you're going to lose yards. But at this level, you have the opportunity to get sprung to the outside. As they had a shot at him right there, but not able to close it.
So it's a 1st and 10 for the Olympians. They hand it off to Fontenot, and this time Fontenot is going to be brought down by a host of Cougar tacklers, led by number 31 for the Cougars, whom we don't have in our program as I scan it.
It'll be the X, let's call him the X-Man then, I guess.
All right. 4:25 left here in the first half. Leuzinger leads by a score of 20-7, courtesy of 3 Therian Fontenot touchdown runs. And Leuzinger knocking on the door again here. Deep in Cougar territory. Once again, content to let Fontenot get the bulk of the work tonight.
And of course, he's durable for it as he gets it on the double handoff that time. Charles to Fontenot. Well, this is a key play here with 3:40 to go in this first half.
Well, exactly right, Dave. I mean, this is where, again, if you're a part of the Hawthorne contingent, you want to hold them here. And there you go. Again, you're going to have encroachment on the defense, which is a rule change that I'd actually like to see made in high school football to pretty much parallel both college and professional. I mean, if the guy comes over and he gets back, there's no harm done. You know, I mean, you call this foul. I mean, it in no way affected the play. He would have been back in plenty of time, but the mistake cost you 5 yards. Definitely something that they should look at.
Let's have him go all the way back into the huddle and then step back. So, oh, excuse me.
So Fontenot comes around the right side, pushed out of bounds down near the 13-yard line. Cougar defense actually strung that one out pretty good. Picked up maybe a couple on the play.
And when you see plays like that, a defensive lineman, linebacker, someone coming across the line like that, only one thing comes to mind is LT 1986 against the Washington Redskins. That a story we can get into another time. It was as though LT was in there to take the handoff. He said, hey fellas, give me the ball.
Yeah. Well, he had excellent anticipation skills, and we've got 3 minutes left here in the first half. Ball is at it's a 4th and goal. Let's cut 4th and 1. The sideline shows 4th and 1. Here's a pitch to Donnell Charles, and if it was 4th and 1, they've certainly picked up the first down.
Well, they do get the first with 2:54. The clock stopped for a measurement. And now you think in terms of 3 timeouts for Leuzinger, 2 for Hawthorne. And depending on what happens here, they may decide to spend 1 or 2.
And it looks like from where, and yes, they can pick up a first down without scoring a touchdown, just outside the 10-yard line, Dave. There's a pitch to Fontenot. Foster with the lead block for him, and doesn't gain much on that play.
Ryan Harvey stayed home for Hawthorne, the senior. Bringing down the line and able to make the first hit on Terry and Fontenot as we approach the 2:20 mark. in this first half. Maybe got about a half a yard on that one.
Exactly, second down. There's a pitch back to Charles, and Charles picks up about 3 for a nice shoestring tackle, brings him down because he was just about to get off to the races.
That's the way it looked from here. I was about to say another step and he's gone, but the defense gets there to prevent the touchdown and bring up the third and maybe about 6 with 1:40 to go in this half.
So it's a 3rd and 7 for the Cougars now. Once again, a pitch to Fontenot. Fontenot hits Miller. The ball comes loose, and it's picked up. Well, not yet picked up. Let's see. Does Leuzinger get it back?
It looks like
What's
Hawthorne.
indicate?
Yeah.
Hawthorne recovers a fumble.
Now, Rufus, even though they recovered that fumble, as it looked like Ryan Harvey was the man that picked it up, Coach Robbins is going to say it almost costs because it looks like he's more concerned about picking it up and running. You just want to fall on that bad boy. And I think it was Ryan. Okay, first the hit comes in there. And yeah, it's Ryan. Now, if he picks that up, he's gone, of course, but if they fumble it and they pick it up, they've got another shot at it.
So, okay, we're back to live action. As you see, the Cougars just haven't called a timeout. The play, if in fact we missed that one, I think we may have gotten that one where Fontenot fumbled.
The film broke.
And they picked up the fumble. Hawthorne did recover the fumble, somewhat inauspiciously, rather than good fundamental football of just falling on the loose ball. They nonetheless did get it. They ran one play. Mawala ran a keeper, picked up a couple of yards on the play, and now you got a second down, and looks like it's going to, well, scoreboard shows first down, but nonetheless, it's Cougar football here with 56 seconds left in the first half. And the sideline marker, which is what I'm going to go by, shows second down and about 6.
Hawthorne needs a score before the end of the half to make this interesting. I mean, it's not crucial, but it would be big if they were able to get one.
Pass thrown behind the intended receiver. That pass intended for Damon Wilson. And Mawala not having a real good half here. Started out looking pretty good, but has cooled off considerably in his offensive execution.
The timing is, of course, the interception on the last series where the ball was underthrown. He had the time, and this time the timing off on that quick out pattern. This is a screen coming up.
And it goes for naught as Gaines is unable to make the reception. Of course, the second wave of Leuzinger defenders actually had him covered pretty well, so the screen didn't materialize quite the way you would expect it to. And we've got 47 seconds left here in the first half. Leuzinger leading by a score of 20-7. Fourth down decision coming up for the Cougars. Ball's at their own 28-yard line.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is not out of the question for Leuzinger to score in these 46 seconds.
Indeed. If you're Hawthorne, you definitely want to punt it away, and looks like that's what they were trying to do, punt it away from Bell, and he's just going to let it bounce. So they catch somewhat of a break there in that there's no return on it, although Leuzinger gets the ball in excellent field position at their own 37-yard line, let's call it, where it'll be first down and 10 for them with 38 seconds left here in the first half.
Well, do I have to state the oldest cliche in the book is Hawthorne obviously does not want to let them score here before the end of the half. I mean, that's obvious. Anyone out there could tell you that, but I figured I would say it anyway.
But I think the point that you're making, which is certainly well taken, is that it's easier said than done. Foster drops back to pass, lays it up, and overthrows his intended receiver, and that was intended for Donald Bell.
How about that for turnaround? I mean, we've seen that on the other hookup. We've seen Bell to Shaz Foster for a couple of scores this year. Now, Leuzinger and Coach Markham, if they are going to throw the ball, they usually like to do it on those end of half situations. And we have one of those last minute of the half situations here, 30 seconds to be exact, and they elect to put it up. Some might say, well, why don't you keep it on the ground and you go in with a 20-7 lead? Nevertheless, I mean, something gets picked off and run back.
So it's a 2nd down and 10 now. Once again, they look to the air, they put it up in the air, and they turn the intended receiver around, and the pass goes incomplete.
Well, that's a case in point. He was looking for Bell again, but if Ryan Harvey picks it, Ryan Harvey had a better beat on that ball. If he picks that off with 25 some odd seconds to go, then Hawthorne's got a shot. So I don't know if I quite understand this particular strategy. You know, Markham is a very good offensive coach, and he certainly knows what he's doing, but well, I don't know.
Well, I can only venture a guess that after having seen a couple of fumbles put up by his team, he decides he'd rather test them through the air. And it looks like from the stats that I saw that although their passing game last week apparently was out of necessity, that they are looking to put the ball in the air just a little bit more than what they have been over the course of the season. That time they keep it on the ground, and Leuzinger is going to call a timeout here, so we get the world's longest 30 seconds of end of the quarter action.
And I believe it brings up 4th down situation, and well, would they elect to go with the ball on the 40-yard line? 15 seconds to go in the half. Would they go for it? There's the Hawthorne assistant coach, defensive coordinator, just talking it over.
And a nice touch by the Cougar program this year. I mean, I personally like it. Well, one as an announcer and 2 as a fan, when the players have their names on the back of the jerseys.
That's a nice little touch. So it's hard to fit Eshimandu all on that little jersey, I guess. Well, I think they are going to punt here with 15 seconds.
Its indication is that it's a 4th and 10, a high snap. This handler is still looking to get the handle. They get the punt away finally, which is good, and it goes up to midfield, goes out of bounds in Leuzinger territory at the Leuzinger 48-yard line, call it 47, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cougars with 8 seconds left. Enough time to get off a Hail Mary at least.
Yeah, 1, maybe 2 strikes, depending on how they do it. I believe they have 1 timeout left. And not too fluid play for Leuzinger at the end of the half.
Yeah, as you said, and I got to echo your comments, a strange set of downs they ran that time. And Muwala drops back to pass. Here's the screen, and he nearly throws the interception. Eric Muwala not having a good first half at all.
Well, it started well, but it certainly has gone downhill pretty quickly. I mean, you pick that one off, it's all off to the races. I mean, the idea of throwing a screen is okay. I mean, you want to have some blocking down for 8 seconds to go, get him out in the open field, maybe anything can happen, but just not executed very well at all that time. And now we have 4 seconds to go, and now you may see that old Hail Mary.
Leuzinger looking to take a 13-point lead into the locker room here on the road. A short road, albeit, at Hellcat Field, cross town at Hawthorne High School, as these teams are playing for the Mayor's Cup. More conventional pass thrown that time by Muwala, completes it to Jamario Smith, and that'll end the first half. And the first half ends with the Olympians leading by a score of 20-7, courtesy of 3 Therian Fontenot touchdown runs. right here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Enjoy the halftime festivities, fans, and we'll be back with you for the start of second half action. All right, fans, we're back for second half action here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Leuzinger took control of the first half, and they went into the locker room at halftime leading by a score of 20-7, and they kick it off here to the Cougars, who have a problem handling the kickoff, and they're going to be down. The mishandled kickoff cost them some there as number 3, Richard Burns, could never get the handle on the ball, David, and they're going to have to start their offense here in the second half down by 13 points from their own 10-yard line.
Well, of course, you don't want to start the second half in a hole, but give credit to Melvin Pettis of Leuzinger, who was one of the first people there to get the stop. He just didn't pick it up on the first bounce. And he who hesitates or is lost, Pettis gets there. Pettis with the first hit, and then he's finished off. And Andre Rochelle finishes it off.
But Wallace still under center quarterback to give it to Gaines. Gaines has some running room, and Gaines brings it out near the 30-something yard line as Chester Johnson just gives his body up as a human missile to come in and aid in bringing down Gaines on that carry, but not until after he picked up huge yardage on the play, which is coming back now because of an illegal procedure call against the Cougars.
Well, I started to say that Hawthorne has to make a statement here at the beginning of this third quarter, but they're making the wrong one, unfortunately, as not handling the kickoff properly, and a very good play in a big game goes, they lose 5 yards on it. So I want to set yourself backwards to start a half when you're already trailing to an explosive ball club.
A couple of miscues to start the third quarter, as you mentioned. First, mishandling the kickoff, and now an illegal procedure, which cost them another 5. Keep it on the ground again, a more pedestrian gain this time of about 2 on the carry. That was Moala, the quarterback, with the carry. Moala suffering through one of the toughest first halves of his young quarterbacking career.
It started well, but it just kind of slowly, the air came out of the balloon. I mean, he had some poise back there, but as the first half wore on, he underthrew one that was picked off, and had a couple of good passes on the last series that he had of the first half.
And there you saw a shot of some of the Cougar faithful, and they're just waiting to get started, man. But they need something from the guys on the field to give them some energy. It's going to make it a third and long now. We're just at the top of third quarter action. We got 10 and a half minutes left here in the third quarter.
And we're showing one thing that Leuzinger talked about at the half is they know that they gave up big yardage twice on the bootlegs by Moala. And as you saw in his first attempt to do it here in the second half, it didn't work. So they're going to be looking for that.
Waller drops back, short pass over to Miller. They pick up the first down. Now they got to protect the football. And they accomplish that as well as they take it out across the 40-yard line, brought down finally in front of the Leuzinger bench, but not until after picks up the first down, and that was Jamario Smith with the first down play on the pass from Eric Moala.
Well, here's the good news if you're a Hawthorne fan. I mean, you like the way the timing was there. It was a perfect throw, but Rufus, as we see the replay, guess what the bad news is?
Bad news, it looks like it's coming back, David, and that is indeed real bad news. I mean, gosh, the Cougars seem to be snake bitten tonight. And again, you've got a personal foul on the play as the indication from the referee.
Only 2 minutes in, a muffed kickoff return, and 2 big penalties. And it's still third down and about 13.
The backs are split. They fake the handoff. Moala calls his own number, keeps it himself, goes around the left side. Olympian defense isn't going to let him pick that up, though. Not stringing it out that far. So that's going to make it a 4th down for the Cougars now. And one you always hesitate to say definitely when you're playing against Coach Carnes, but a safe bet would be that they're going to punt here.
Well, of course, they faked one in the first half, but now, of course, you have to worry about the long snap and making sure that you execute the punt correctly because you don't want to bobble it back there in the end zone.
Pretty decent punt, and it's touched by the Olympians, and they do down it. Cougar special teams player was there, attempting to make the recovery, and that was, of course, number 22, Courtney Barton. Good special teams play by him prevents the Olympian return. So the Olympians get the ball at the Cougar 43-yard line, where it's going to be 1st and 10 for them with 9:22 left here in the 3rd quarter.
And, of course, when you are kind of in a rebuilding, regrouping year, the way Hawthorne is, you can expect to see things like this, but not bang-bang at the beginning of a quarter, beginning of a half.
And Cougars say they got the ball. Once again, the snap was mishandled.
Well, that's the 3rd fumble tonight by Leuzinger, so what a way for them to start the 2nd half. It's interesting. I mean, of course, Shaz Foster is in there at quarterback instead of Bell, so you've got to wonder, there's got to be some problems with that exchange. That's the 2nd time they fumbled on an exchange. Fontenot fumbled the ball earlier in the game on the first drive, so we have seen the old comedy of errors quite a bit here tonight. So all in all, Hawthorne is out in good field position at about their 44-yard line.
Waller pumps right, goes left, puts it up, and it's incomplete. Decides he wants to test Donald Bell again. I think I'd leave that guy alone.
Well, a little bit of touch on this one. He underthrew the last time, and Bell right there for the coverage as he was trying to hit Jamario Smith, the senior this time. And the good little pump fake had the right amount of air under it, but they both got there at the same time, and no one able to come up with the catch. As Hawthorne tries to make something big happen on 1st down with 9:14 to go 3rd quarter, and Hawthorne trailing Leuzinger 20-7.
Well, they seem to want to exploit the height advantage that Smith has over Bell, but you've got to be able to put the ball in the right location to do that. This time they keep it on the ground, go around left side, pick up about 5, maybe 6 yards on the carry. It's going to make it a 3rd and about 3.
Brown and Fontenot got there on the stop that time. With 9:05 to go. The nice crowd we have here tonight at this good facility.
Shot of the Hawthorne faithful, we believe that is, judging just from the color of the flag there. Yeah.
Could
Still
be
haven't
USC.
had a lot to cheer about yet. Excuse me. This is Gaines with the carry, and Gaines is gang tackle by a lot of Olympians there. Led first and foremost by number 4 for the Olympians. And can't find him in my program.
And number 54 of the Olympians, did you say?
Okay.
That looks.
Maybe I did say number 54, Andre Rochelle.
Well, they are going to go for this one here. In this spot of the ball game, in this spot of the field.
4th and 1, it's a good gamble. Wow, boy. Man, you go to the air on 4th and 1. I got to tell you, boy, you've cut your percentages in half, I would think.
Yeah, it's in that sort of situation, sort of a safety sort of pass, but it's a do or die. And that's the sort of pass you got to complete in that situation. I mean, maybe not that far downfield, maybe about a yard or 2 shorter. I mean, they needed about a yard for the 1st down, and they don't get it, so they give it to Leuzinger. 4 and out. Leuzinger will get it on their own 46-yard line if they can get the snap.
Strange series of downs both ways. Here's Fontenot with the carry. Fontenot goes around the right side, and he's going to be brought down, but he picked up about 5 before he was. Should make it about a 2nd down and 5 for the Olympians. We've got, looks like that shows 8 minutes left here in the 3rd quarter.
And Hawthorne at 3-5 on the year, 2-3 in the Bay League. Quite a few teams at the 2-3 mark. Leuzinger 4-1 in the league, 6-2 overall.
Here's a pitch to Donnell Charles. He breaks the line. Let's see, it's a foot race now. And they happen to have the angle on him, and so they're able to bring him down. But, you know, Charles, that run started at the 47, gets down to the 17. Let's call it a 30-yard run for Donnell Charles as you watch it again here on the replay.
And this from another angle. Again, once he gets past the initial wave, now it just becomes a race. And it's Ryan Harvey who's going to come up to make the stop. Ryan Harvey there, number 8, with a good hard tackle.
Here's a pitch to Fontenot. Kick out blocks on the right side. Fontenot picks up about 3 on the carry. Once again, these Cougars have played with fire. I mean, yeah, they trail by 13. It could be a lot worse, but man, you can't keep giving a team like Leuzinger these kind of opportunities and not expect to get burned sooner or later.
Those big personal foul penalties. I mean, if they are able to sustain that drive, then we've got a different ball game. Of course, they got a break getting the fumble recovery on the snap, but not able to do anything with it.
This time they come around the left side. That's Donnell Charles. Touchdown. Scored a touchdown from 12 yards out at the 6:53 mark of the 3rd quarter. Donnell Charles.
Well, that man was missing last week. Of course, played hurt, didn't play until the 2nd half and had limited minutes. He a game breaker. His first touchdown of the night. Good blocking on the left side and makes a couple of little jukes on his own. Yeah, a little stutter step right there. And then the last move, which is going to spring him as they miss a tackle. Look like Ryan Harvey not able to get him there at the last minute. And now they will go for the 2-point conversion.
There's a pitch to Fontenot. Fontenot cuts it up inside. Looks like he's got it. And the indication from the referee is that he did get it. That makes our score now 28-7 in favor of the Olympians.
Well, Leuzinger gets it in good field position, and it doesn't take him long to get in. Point after touchdown, Fontenot straight ahead, making it look fairly routine. 28-7 at 6:53 to go in this 3rd quarter. Still not totally out of the woods for Hawthorne, but they cannot continue to make the kind of mistakes they made first time they had the ball in this half.
If we put their face on the camera again, we're going to have to start paying them residuals, guys.
Well, yours truly, Dave and Rufus, are somewhere in that booth that he's in. That's Don Markham's wife. She's, of course, videotapes the games for the benefit of practice. Mrs. Markham. Very nice lady. Leuzinger on the other side.
Together stays together, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Leuzinger, of course, the visitor here tonight on the other side of the field. That's them in that part of the stands. Good contingent for them here tonight. They had about 3,500 people at the game last week, homecoming against Peninsula.
Okay, here's the kickoff again, taken by one of the upbacks. You got a flag on the play. Looks like it may have been a face mask against the Olympians. We'll wait for the official indication. Ball's going to be down at the 35-yard line. There was Courtney Barton with the return. And let's see what the referee's indication is.
Clipping it, yep. You usually on those sort of plays, you're going to expect a block in the back or a clip. So, again, Hawthorne with another mistake here in this 2nd half. So, where they would have had the ball up near midfield, instead they're going way back.
Okay, well, now we've got a chance. Here's a replay to kick off. We'll see if we can find the clip here. Video return. And there it was right there. As you can see, number 72 is going to be my guess. And that was where the flag came in at. Anyway, Good camera work there by the crew at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22.
Now they're saying there was no clip.
Waller back to pass again. Waller steps up in the hole, and he's twisted like a pretzel in there by the Leuzinger defense.
And a good defensive call because they sent David Brown from the corner position again this time. He had a big sack in the first half on a blitz, and he was in the backfield that time, and that's why that pocket collapsed quickly. Moala having no time to get anything off.
6 minutes and some change. Leuzinger up by a score, 28-7 here at Hellcat Field. Waller calls his own number this time. Nice little juke move there that he put on Chaz Foster. And lures it. Starting to get just a little bit testy there between Chester Johnson and Eric Moala.
Now, Chester looked like he gave him a little bit of a knee there at the end of the play. It'll be interesting to see if anything is going to be called here.
There's a juke move on Chaz Foster. Well, the leg certainly came up. I'm not sure. Oh, jeez. This is...
Well, Rufus with the exclamation point because, as you can see, it is an illegal procedure call. After all is said and done, a procedure on Hawthorne. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have seen Hawthorne football the past few years, this is not a fair representation of Hawthorne Cougar football, what you are seeing in this second half.
Well, and I agree wholeheartedly with you on that, David. I must admit, you almost become sympathetic for the Cougar cause and actually for the athletes on the field. I mean, at a certain point, the thing starts to lose a lot of its just esprit de corps for even playing the game if, in fact, every play you run is going to result in a penalty.
And now, to make matters worse, we have Lamar Keeble, who took that screen pass going down, but he appears to be okay. So Keeble taking that screen, and he will hobble off. So things continuing to go backwards for the Hawthorne Cougars at the 6:27 mark.
Ball's at the 12-yard line. Cougars need to get out to the 27 to pick up the first down. So it's a 3rd and 15. Clock rolling at the 5:15 mark here in the third quarter. Leuzinger leading by a score, 28-7. They came into the third quarter leading by 20-7. Waller drops back to pass, and this pass is incomplete. It's going to make it a 4th and 15.
Well, they will have to punt from shadow of their end zone once more for the second time. Got a pretty good one away the first time, and they'll be asked to do it again. The Cougar not having a good night.
And even for us sitting here in the booth as he gets the punt away, an excellent punt gotten away that time. Very good punt. Rose into Olympian territory down to the Olympian 34-yard line where it'll be 1st and 10, and there is indeed yet another flag on the field, as we can see from here. Flags thrown back at the 30-something yard line.
Well, this time it's holding against Leuzinger, and I imagine they're going to decline it. It was probably a post-possession sort of foul, and of course they've got to be satisfied with that. For that punt, the best play of the half for them so far. So they will probably be very happy to push Leuzinger back, unless Leuzinger is going to lose additional yardage. They would have had it at 34, and it looks like they're going to march back a little further. So an even bigger break for Hawthorne as Leuzinger will be pinned a little further back. And they'll have a chance to try to hem them in, make something happen defensively. Defense, of course, has been one of their problems this season. They've not been that sharp on the defensive side of the ball. And of course, playing against a big break team like Leuzinger, that doesn't help your cause when you've got a Fontenot and a Charles that are game-breaking sort of backs.
Exactly.
So they're kind of like, do we march back? Do we come up? You know, they're back now. They're coming up. Still trying to figure out where they're going to spot this as they decline it, and they will take it from where it is, like it is at the about 34-yard line, it appears.
And admittedly, this has been a tough game for us to work, David. I mean, you haven't had there's been no rhythm to it thus far, and certainly it's lacked the drama, if you will, of your usual Hawthorne Leuzinger game, and we're sort of muddling along here, but for all our pain and misery, it's Hawthorne right now that's on the long end of the pain and misery stick.
Yeah, as you see Charles come out of the pack there with the high step in his strut. It's the first game we've had a chance to do here this year. Of course, you know, we those of you out there, we cover both of these schools, Hawthorne and Leuzinger, and most of our games have been at Olympian Field this year. This is the first time we'll be here next week, of course, against Beverly Hills. There's Charles with a good high step and strut. And for those of you who want to follow Leuzinger, they will be at Santa Monica next week.
Second down and Trey. All right, they keep it on the ground. They pick up the first down and then some.
There's a little bit under 4 minutes to go in this third quarter. I guess one of the stories for Leuzinger has been Chaz Foster in a quarterback tonight again instead of Bell.
I didn't see. Did Bell quarterback last week?
Oh yeah, he started QB last week.
Okay.
He did well. He did pretty well. Had a big 69-yard TD pass to Fontenot, which I believe at the point in the game when he threw it tied the score.
Well, we'll have to put our crack reporting crew on that and see if we can find out what the story behind the story is as to why Bell played the one series at QB tonight, but Chaz Foster has run the offense tonight for the Olympians and done a very good job. There's the pitch to Darnell Charles. Also with the lead block as Charles gets near the first down. They're in Cougar territory at about the 41-yard line of the Cougars. There you see the pitch to Charles. Nice long strides there by Darnell Charles. Fontenot with the carry this time. Fontenot looking to get through. Almost breaks the containment. I'll tell you, were it not for the effort of Ryan Harvey there, we may have been tacking another 6 on the board.
And as you look at that Leuzinger defense, you got to feel they're getting a little tired at this point. With about
Hawthorne defense.
Well, keeping it Rufus, they play both ways.
Right.
So it's hard to. Everybody here plays both ways.
Right.
But yeah, Leuzinger may be tired as well, but their defense hasn't been on the field much the second half. But what I meant to say, folks, is as you look at that Hawthorne defense, they appear to be weary, getting a little weary at the 2-minute mark of the third quarter. Not that time, though, however, and they're right on the mark.
Well, I tell you, their eyes are still sharp and working well because every once again, I mean, that Leuzinger offensive line is so compact, and the way they run that wing T, man, the ball gets lost inside there sometimes. It's hard to tell exactly where it is.
And you've got your double handoffs coming out of there, and you never know who's going in motion.
I mean, they do all of that in a fairly compact piece of real estate.
Like that time, Fontenot gets it, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, one of the inside backs could have had it. And they're doing this tonight, of course, without Tavita McCullough, who is on the sideline.
Flag on the play, and the indication. again is that this flag is against Hawthorne. Looked to be a personal foul, face mask. So the Hawthorne crowd is, with the exception of one brief flurry, David, is sitting on, excuse me, fans, sitting on their hands all night.
Yeah, they, for the most part, have we've only heard the stands rumble one time here tonight. So you know, when we hear the stands not rumbling outside our booth, we know not much is going on happily for Hawthorne. Because they can make this press box shake outside when things are starting to go well for them.
So it's a 1st and 10 for the Olympians. So I was at about the 14-yard line. There's a pitch to Fontenot. Fontenot breaks it down. Looks like inside the 5. Looks like he's already picked up yet another first down and should make it about a 1st and goal.
And the only question now, I guess, becomes, do they get their 5th touchdown before the quarter comes to an end or not? Well, they're going to be set back a little here on a clipping call, which, to Leuzinger's credit, is the first one they've had tonight, because their coach Don Markham was concerned about that, the fact that the past few weeks they had been making quite a few clippings. And of course, one that really hurt them last week when they had a chance to tie the score, and it set them back on a 4th down play, made a 4th down and long. So at the 42-second mark of the 3rd quarter, this is their first clip of the night, which you don't want any clips to happen.
Yeah.
But as you see the clip happen right there. And of course, the Hawthorne coaching staff has watched these films, and they were aware of, some of the coaches were telling me that they think that this Leuzinger team does a lot of cutting and a couple of things that are kind of dicey that the referees don't see. And, well, the past few weeks, as you see Coach Markham, they're yelling something out on the far sideline. He's very concerned about that, and that's their first one of the night.
And that backs them way up, gives the Hawthorne defense a little breathing room as it takes them outside the 20-yard line and higher on the carry, and we do have another flag on the play. So this has become a flag-riddled contest as the officials are electing to take the game out of the hand of the players and put it in their own hands. And now you've got yet another call as you watch the replay here.
Yeah, this one is holding. So what Leuzinger has been able to avoid to this point, the clips and the holes, things on the offensive line, on the run plays they've had on 2 successive plays as we wind this quarter down. There's Mike Witt on the right with the clean bean, as we used to say, and Markham with the cap.
Foster drops back to pass, lays it up, hits his receiver, and his receiver's finally brought down, but not until after he picks up a first down. On the reception is Danny Atu.
Well, Danny Atu had a big catch last week, a big first down play, and that a good call. And that's their first pass of the second half. They don't pass the ball too much, and maybe it's just that end of quarter, end of half sort of syndrome, but of course, faked everybody out. No one, I don't think, was expecting this. See, the defense never gets there. They stop the touchdown, but not before Danny Atu comes up with a big first down, and Leuzinger is back in business at the end of this 3rd quarter.
Danny Atu's catch, in fact, does in the 3rd quarter. And after 3 here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 from Hal Cap Field, the visiting Leuzinger Olympians leading the Hawthorne Cougars by a score of 28-7 in the battle for the Mayor's Cup. And right now, Leuzinger has that cup 3/4 of the way in their hip pocket.
Now, you have to explain a little something to me here, Rufus. I'm from back in the East Coast where you were a couple of weeks ago. Now, I understand it's 2 cities, Hawthorne and Lawndale, as we see the horse cavalry from one of the cities. The mayor of what? Okay, explain this to me as we see some of the city in the background.
Okay.
And the 405.
Well, what you have, Leuzinger is in the city of Lawndale.
Okay,
as
you
you
folks
know.
out there getting this? Okay.
And Hawthorne is in the city. Hawthorne High is actually the official high school for the city of Hawthorne. And of
Okay.
course, they're neighboring cities, not to mention. And they cooperate, in fact, a number of civic activities. And this sports competition, in fact, is an extension of a lot of the civic activity that goes on between two cities that share common streets. Hawthorne Boulevard runs right between through both communities, Prairie Avenue, and as we've talked about before, the kids all live and they're in the same school district. All right, the school district actually is shared by both cities, as we see Fontenot with the carry here, and Fontenot, I believe, scores a touchdown. Then the ball pops loose. Ground can't cause a fumble, as any knowledgeable football fan knows. So they're going to put the 6 points on the board, and that's going to extend the Leuzinger lead to 34-7 now. So that's kind of the impetus of it all. Just a nice little friendly community rivalry.
So from what I understand, that trophy, though, has not gone down to Rosecrans in quite a while.
Well, that's what our cameraman Jose Bravo says.
Speaking of Jose,
yeah. Speaking of Jose, there you see him.
He's looking
He's
at
in
the
a very
stars.
still repose. We aren't sure if he's awake or not, but we will assume that he is. Although he's barely moving a muscle, I tell you. Yeah. And there you see the extra point attempt, no good on that particular effort. As I say, on the Leuzinger, again, extra point efforts, they make about half of them, and that was one of the halves that they didn't make. And there we see Mr. Ali Santana on camera again, another veteran. See, Ali is showing that he's awake. You see the movement there? Very incidental, but at least it's enough.
And where can folks get those Channel 22 jackets?
Yeah. As we're in the fourth quarter action now, fans, and I tell you, if they aren't going to do it on the field, and we'll enjoy the replay here of Theory and Fontenot. This is an opportunity, one of the rare chances to see the handoff coming to you. And again, actually, they dropped back the pass here, and that was intended for Darnell Charles, so that was a couple of plays before. So we're going to come back to live action and go to the kickoff here. And there's a kick, customarily as it has been tonight, a short kickoff taken by Gaines. Gaines has some running room. Gaines gets out to the 40-yard line or so before he's brought down. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cougars from their own 40-yard line.
Well, the game basically probably somewhat out of reach at this point for Hawthorne. So you begin to think in terms of their playoff possibilities if they drop to 2-4, which it looks likely with 11:34 going to fourth quarter. Their playoff possibilities kind of slipping away, although once you start getting down to third and fourth place in the Bay League, there are quite a few teams that are going to have 2-4 records. So it's still a possibility, and they have one game next week against Beverly Hills. And that Beverly Hills-Norman game next week, you have a contrast because you have a Beverly Hills team that does like to pass, and here a Hawthorne team that has a good quarterback, but he's been kind of a little shaky tonight, and the run has been a little better, so that will be an interesting contest. And of course, you want to end this ball game on the most positive note that you possibly can.
Moala still in the quarterback. The backs are split. Moala on the pitch back to number 12, who looks for the sideline, goes around the corner, and they have the first down, certainly. On the carry was Momo Romunga, and Romunga has scored the only Cougar touchdown of the night.
I guess also at the 10:40 mark, as we talk about Hawthorne and their one game remaining on the regular season and their slim hopes of the playoffs, you have to also talk about, as they jump offside there, so somebody moves, you have to talk about Leuzinger, because Leuzinger will be in the postseason. They more than likely will not get the Bay League title unless Peninsula would slip up and lose too. Even if Peninsula would lose one. They, of course, have the tiebreaker. At 4-1, Leuzinger looks to go to 5-1, 5-1, and of course, the game that they're watching tonight, Culver City and Mira Costa, but not much to worry about because they do have the tiebreaker with Mira Costa if Mira Costa goes to 5-1.
And once again, they keep it on the ground. Pick up maybe a yard. Of course, they were set back 5 on the offside penalty on Sione Tui Halamaka, break number 71.
So of course,
just waiting to get that in there.
Oh yeah, like remember Cialelli Tialopu, who we had here last year. Season quite a few names like that. But I tell you, it's this will be the last time during the regular season that we will see Leuzinger, since we won't see them until the postseason. So I'm going to start wondering how far can they go in the postseason? What sort of opponent will they face? Will they get a home game? And those sort of questions.
Well, I think that their first round, just from experience, and you've certainly seen a number of playoff seasons yourself, I think their first round opponent will probably be challenged by them. But as they get deeper in the playoff and you start to get to some of the better teams, things are going to start to get interesting for the Olympians. And you got to think the almost lack of a passing game will eventually hurt them. I mean, you're going to start to play some very, very good football teams. And if you're that one-dimensional, the teams you'll play in the second and third round are so good that they'll simply eat you alive. Here's a pitch back again. Cougars looking to make anything happen, and right now not having a lot of luck. Still trying to get back to the original line of scrimmage, which was at the 45-yard line. They're down once again at the 47, and it's going to be they're going to call it the 48, and we're going to call it a 3rd and 13.
For those who saw the game last week, of course, you weren't with us last week, Rufus, against the Leuzinger Peninsula game, they did pass very well when they had to. There were 2 big things that basically cost them. Pass interference call that kept the drive going for Peninsula. As we'll watch Bell run around.
And Bell is brought down. And I tell you, we may as well give some props to Nick Fate, who's been handling the kicking duties for the Olympians. I mean, he's just done, number 45 has just done an outstanding job on his kicks. The guy's got a pretty good leg, and he's done well.
Oh, yes. Had a couple of big ones here in this second half. He's been the MVP in the second half for Hawthorne. But, unfortunately, if we're getting into the Leuzinger situation again, they're not going to really get another test until playoff time. And Peninsula last week, I mean, not counting the Carlsbad game, the first game of the year, was the first time that they actually trailed and had to come from behind. And if it weren't for 2 bad breaks, one a controversial pass interference call, as they may have coughed it up here, and of course the other a clip that set them back, they might have been a different outcome last week. But as you mentioned, Rufus, getting deeper into the playoff, they might have a shot at getting a home game first week. They will not go in as Bay League champions. They might get a chance to play 1 game at home. But what happens in the second and third round, that will be the key. As you think of teams like Diamond Bar out there, of course, Diamond Bar, Chino, and some of the other very tough schools that are in Division II, Southern Section. And yeah, you are eventually you're gonna trail. You're gonna come to that situation where you're gonna have to show that poise, and you can't make the clips. You can't fumble. You can't do things like this here, fumbles. So you're gonna have to be mentally as well as physically prepared if they do want to have a shot at Division II title.
Timeout on the field taken by the Olympians. There you see Coach Don Markham out on the field talking to his troops as they lead by a score of 34-7 here on Lawndale's Community Cable, Channel 22. Catch the deuce, why don't you?
And of course, we still have to find out. Unfortunately, we don't have someone down on the sideline that can tell us, but we have to find out why the move to Shaz Foster tonight at QB and not Donald Bell. Now, is that something that is going to be played out in the last regular season game and into postseason? That's another potential question mark.
And there you see Southern California life in the 90s. You come to the football game and you talk on your cell phone. You know, guys. And we're back to live action as you see Fontenot with the carry. And looks like he's going to outrun the defense. Therian Fontenot, that runs from the 15-yard line, 85-yard touchdown run. Let's scan the field. Now we see a late flag coming in. Not sure who that's going to go against. That won't have any impact on the touchdown run. But obviously some mouthing off that was occurring, and the referee was right there beside the two players, and he whistles it for the flag.
Well, you know, again, talking about Leuzinger's chances in the postseason, when you have a healthy player such as Fontenot and you have a healthy Darnell Charles and Tavita McCullough, who hasn't played tonight, get those three guys healthy, Charles and Fontenot, particularly Darnell Charles with the speed, are game breakers. And last week in the big test against Peninsula, of course, they did not have a healthy Charles. So you need those things. And when you get a line that just throws people around like that, Andre Rochelle giving up the body, I mean, this becomes easy.
And Ryan Harvey is the only guy who's got a shot. And no discredit to Ryan, but with the speed that Fontenot has, and if he's got a step on you, that's a hard step to make up, man. You know.
He's got that Heisman Trophy cut. Just hasn't perfected that statue pose quite yet.
2-point conversion coming up. This one should be good, but it comes up about a half a yard short. In fact, comes up more than a half a yard short because they apparently assessed the penalty on the extra point attempt.
The 7:49 mark of this battle for the Mayor's Trophy. It is going to go down to Leuzinger apparently this year at 40-7, the score. And they will get Santa Monica next week up at Santa Monica for any Leuzinger fans that may want to make the trip up there. I believe that'll be an afternoon ball game, but you might want to double check that. And of course, for you Hawthorne fans, you can check the action out here next week, final home game against Beverly Hills, and we will also have that for you on Channel 22.
And there you see a shot of the Hawthorne faithful as they start to foul out of Hellcat Field, resigned to the obvious at this point, and the obvious being that Leuzinger is going to leave here tonight with the win.
Well, you didn't see that too much last year.
No, but Leuzinger's done a very good job this year, and here's the kickoff, and I'll develop that point in a moment. As number 24 brings it right up the gut, takes it out to the 24-yard line. Of course, we know that number 24 is Lamar Keeble. But Leuzinger's done a very good job this year of avenging a number of defeats that they had last year. We saw them do that in one of the very first games of the season right off the bat, and I saw them do it once or twice. And here they've done it yet again tonight. As we mentioned, Hawthorne last year took the measure of this Leuzinger squad by a score of 39-12. Well, they've returned the favor in spades thus far.
So at this point, I guess you just put it up. And Moala still in there at quarterback. Started off with some promise, but kind of faded in the first half.
And in fact, this was a pass that he started out with. And there's a flag on the play. Looks like they're going to get a defensive hold there. Although I think that particular play is going to need just a little bit of work on it. The ball has an awfully big loop on it to start with. And I can tell you, and as you would say, at the next level, and that'd be picked off all day.
Oh, yeah. We get offsetting penalties here, so they just kind of do this one over. We got the horses here tonight.
You know, a little extra crowd control measure.
I think they're at Yankee Stadium or something.
Well, they know that the fans can get just a tad feisty in this rivalry, and as you might expect, Good catch, good hit. 7 on 7.
Yeah, there's
So
Damon Wilson on the catch, and you know who.
Fontenot on the hit. Hawthorne now running their version of a hurry-up offense. And this is more of a drill than it is, and perhaps shouldn't say this, I will say it. I mean, the fact of the matter is that this is where you start to work on some things that you may need down the line. The hurry-up offense isn't being run, I don't think, with the expectation that you're going to score 33 points in the next 6 minutes and 45 seconds. But you get practice at doing it.
And at this point, their hopes at a 500 season in both the league and overall will go by the board. The best they can hope for with a win next week will be 4 wins, 4 and 6, and 3 and 4 mark in league. Got about with 6:40 to go in this fourth quarter.
Fake the handoff. Wow. Waller hit just as he releases it. And you gonna have an extra flag here, penalty against the Olympians, and that in fact is a good call. That's going to go against number 35 for the Olympians, and you can see him with the extracurriculars and the unnecessary roughness, which is what the call is going to be.
It's like Cava McCullough, Tavita McCullough's brother. As the blitz came in from the outside.
If you watch it on the replay. Go ahead, David.
It looks
Describe
like,
the action.
is it Brown that almost gets it? Brown is in there. He just gets that off. And it looked like, is it hit out of bounds? Maybe it's
Didn't look quite as bad on the replay as it was in real time. And in real time, it was indeed a bit of unnecessary roughness. And the officials called it right away. I didn't call it. The official called it. As they try to get to the out of bounds. Unfortunately, for Hawthorne, they're able to keep him in bounds. Clock continues to run with 5 minutes, 35 seconds left here in the contest. Leuzinger leading by a score of 40-7.
Yeah, Lamar Keeble on that carry. He was a little shaken up earlier in the ball game and came off not too happy about it, but he's back and okay.
It's a 2nd and 8 now. Bit of a mismatch on the handoff, and they score the touchdown from 10 yards out on the carry for the Cougars. Lamar Keeble.
Well, Lamar Keeble, the man we mentioned, a little shaken up earlier, and a little redemption here as he's able to come up with the points. To open up something there, like a little misdirection. He cuts it back to the left. He goes right into the end zone for the TD, and they will probably go for a 2-point conversion. That would make sense.
Has time, throws back across, and scores it on the 2-point conversion. Conversion attempt goes to number 36, and they convert it for the 2. So that makes us score now 40-15.
Well, why not go for an onside kick? What harm would it do?
That was Tulu Moala that the extra point attempt went to.
You probably expect to see Leuzinger get their quote-unquote hands team up. As I imagine the thing to do would be to try the onside here. Were we not in this booth just about a year ago, Rufus, when we saw, I mean, if there's ever a rainy weekend and you need to pop something in your VCR, that 49-45 playoff game we did here. Now, that's the sort of game you put in your VCR, you know, when something else isn't on, and that was an epic. I mean, you lost your voice at night, I think. if I'm not
Exactly. No,
mistaken.
it was a great contest. I mean, it was a game, as you said. Yeah, I think what folks don't realize is that as announcers, you know, our game rises and falls with the quality of play on the field, and the more exciting the play is on the field, the more exciting we're able to broadcast. When it's kind of ho hum on the field, unfortunately, it's difficult to manufacture excitement. Here's the onside kick that Hawthorne's should get. Looks like Leuzinger may get it, and Leuzinger does. Boy, Hawthorne had every opportunity in the world to come away with that play. They executed it almost to perfection, and somehow or another it gets away from them.
Yeah, they got the hop they wanted, and of course it doesn't hop the right way. But the game we were referring to last year was the first round playoff game with Glendora, I believe. It was 40. It was Glendora was being killed at the half. I think it was 30-6 or something like that, and it was what a second half we had that night. And of course it was Joe Ichimondu with about 45 seconds to go, I believe, that scored the winning touchdown, going down. Could still see him going down that right sideline on that for the winner, 49-45.
Okay, here's the pitch back to Darnell Charles, and the carry by Charles will take us to a break here on Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22. Alrighty, fans, we're back to live action. Missed one play on that tape exchange, and that was a carry by Fontenot.
And in honor of Howard Cosell, we'll be back with the 3 plays you just missed in a moment.
Okay, here Fontenot comes in motion. They fake Bell's back in at quarterback now, and Bell loses a handle on it. Looks like Hawthorne is saying they got it. Olympians believe they do. And the indication from the officiating crew is that the Olympians did recover. Donald Bell, his first time under center in a long while, since in fact the first series of downs in the game.
Well,
mishandles it a bit there.
Remember this game, a training reel for anyone out there who wants to be in NFL films, Football Follies. You know, if your goal is to be a cameraman, this game is good practice for you. I mean, do a cut of this game, submit them to NFL Films as a Football Follies highlight reel, and you'd have one tonight. Good game for it.
Second down play for the Olympians. That's Fontenot with the carry. And Fontenot is going to be near. Looks like he should have the first down. They're stopping the clock momentarily with 2:18 left in the contest. Now they start it back up as they move the chains, indicate that it is indeed a first down for the Olympians.
That was Brent Fisher on that last hard tackle for Hawthorne, the little tackle of revenge.
Couple of jukes, they keep it on the ground. On the carry is Elias Ellis.
Clock at about the 140 mark of this ball game. With one regular season to go for both teams.
Exactly. Leuzinger, of course, pointing toward the playoffs. This win tonight will up their record to 7-2 overall, 5-1 in Bay League. Hawthorne drops to 3-6 and 2-4 in Bay League competition. Fontenot coming around the right side. Fontenot's going to score yet again. Therian Fontenot from about 16 yards out, and Fontenot has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns tonight. As you see it on the replay once again, Therian Fontenot going around the right side. Bell there blocking for him. Bell very wisely backs away because he was in clip position at that point.
They had that flag getting ready to take it out of the pocket.
So this has been the Therian Fontenot show. And let's see. We're going to say the two-point conversion is no good, although that's of minimal consequence now, as the score is now 46-15 in favor of Leuzinger.
Well, this is Melvin Pettis, the sophomore on the carry. Rarely get to call his number, but here late in the game, he gets a chance to get in the scorebooks, but denied. Just short of the goal line on the two-point conversion. So it appears that Leuzinger will not hit the 50 mark. They hit the 60 mark 2 weeks ago against Culver City, but they hit 46 with 1:41 to go in this one. 1:14, excuse me.
Well, with a minute 14, folks, this is just about personally going to be over. Again, more of the Hawthorne faithful. Oh, sorry, thank you. Start to foul out. The crowd out. Leuzinger preparing to kick off yet again. As you can see, they lead here in the fourth quarter with 1:14 left by a margin of 31, 46-15. One of their more dominating victories over Hawthorne in recent years. Here's a kickoff. Once again, mishandle. I think that they've come up with it, though. And it looks like they have. And I can assure you, believe you me, after many years of watching the Dan Robbins coach team, he's not in the least bit thrilled with this. And I'd hate to be on this team at practice next week, that's for sure. Yeah, if you're thinking about quitting, this might be the weekend that you quit.
Yeah, the middle of that. I mean, in defense of both teams, the middle of that field is kind of torn up. I mean, you could say it looks like it needs to be somewhat. You can even see it on your screen there. I mean, it looks brown. Not much grass there, of course.
Well, it feels torn up, but I think as Coach McKay from SC would say, there ain't nothing wrong with their hands. You know.
That's true. Rufus, this may seem like I'm asking you something out of the blue, but were you a Jackson 5 fan when you were younger?
I was indeed. I remember one of my first concerts, Jackson 5 and the Commodores at the old Charlotte Coliseum.
Well, there you go. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Old ABC and 1, 2, 3. 46 and the J5 are in the house.
Yep.
Michael, Marlon, Tito, Jermaine, and Jackie. And, of course, Randy, who came in later years.
There you go, and we're under a minute, and somebody's going to stop the clock.
So you saw him at the Forum with the Commodores.
Well, actually, it wasn't the Forum. It was the old Charlotte Coliseum.
Oh, Charlotte, yeah,
I can remember being in 10th grade. In fact, it was my first concert. Very first concert that I saw as a kid. I was, in the 10th grade, and that was when the Commodores, very small and unknown group at the time, opened for the Jackson 5. I know.
They came right out of Tuskegee at that time.
Some of these folks are going, who are the Commodores? Yeah. As if, how quickly we forget, of course, Lionel Richie, the closing act for the 84 Olympics, and the terrific, here in Los Angeles, I might add, where they did indeed dance all night long. Sort of what, I guess, in a segue of sorts that Leuzinger has done tonight. I mean, they've just danced on Hawthorne's head all night long, and if we were giving out MVP awards, and the fictional MVP award tonight would certainly go to Therian Fontenot, who has 30 out of those 46 points that the Olympians have on the board.
And of course, Leuzinger wanted to come back and make us. After losing a game as they did last week, they were not a happy bunch, as you can imagine. They were quite teed off, and they wanted to come back out and do something.
Well, I think that this win was certainly assuage some of the hurt feelings from last week's loss. It may not completely do it because, as you so aptly noted to start the contest, that they probably lost their best shot. I mean, they had their destiny in their hand in terms of grabbing a share, if not the outright Bay League title, and they let that get away at their home field.
Yeah,
and
because
that's what hurts.
It wasn't one of those situations where they know that they got blown out. It's like they know that if they do one or two more things correctly, they could have beaten that team. And that's kind of the, it's one of those you bang your helmet on the ground kind of feeling. And, they were a little chippy when the Peninsula bus was passing by last week. There were a couple of words and things said. And, even the coaching staff, as you talk to head coach Don Markham, you kind of get the feeling that he'd like to get Peninsula again in the postseason, and he might, depending on how things are seeded and how well both teams do. He just might get them in a second or third round contest. Of course, it would be at a neutral site.
Exactly. As we watch here the replay of this last completion by Moala. Nice low pass thrown where only his receiver could get to it. And, of course, that's Damon Wilson. We've got 23 seconds clock running left in the game. Once again, they're going to put it up in the air. This time they bring it to the right side to number 6. He's got some running room. Cuts it back inside for some unknown reason. Andre Gaines. And we've got 7 seconds left. Hawthorne looking to dress up the scoreboard a little bit more, put up another 6 or 7.
Well, they've been trying to get this screen all night, and they finally do get it at the 7-second mark. And something that if the Beverly Hills scouts are here, they are taking note of this. And the penalty on the play against Leuzinger, of course, that was declined. They're going to take the yards as Hawthorne takes the timeout with 7 seconds to go and try to get a crack at the end zone.
And that timeout gives us a chance to run through the production crew. If someone in the truck will run them to me. I know Mr. Santana on camera, Ali Santana, Mr. Jose Bravo up top on camera. Steve Draisel on replay. Sherry Ann on graphics. And Joe Shore downfield level on camera 3. And, of course, the executive producer in his maiden season here at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22 after having sat in the number 2 chair for many a year, having done a fine job there, gets the promotion up to the number 1 chair, our own Mr. Tom Strickfaden. I, of course, am Rufus Washington, joined by Dave Marks, and it's been a fun contest here tonight. If you're on the Leuzinger side of the ball in the Mayor's Cup, and they do indeed have the Mayor's Cup fully ensconced in their back pocket, and they're going to take it down the street to Leuzinger, and there it will reside for the next 12 months until they get together to reprise this effort yet again. See, those are all some of those words they taught me at Harvard when I was there.
Yeah, well, of course, next year they'll play that.
And there you see Mayor Harold Hoffman there, who will certainly do the honors at the conclusion of the game. Is that Andrea? Former Channel 22 staff member. I don't think she's working in a Channel 22 capacity tonight, but Andrea Guglielmo. Last play of the game, they do a double flea flicker. Here's a pass out in the flat, and in a fitting way to conclude things, it's intercepted by Donald Bell, and they may even get another 7 on the board. Bell's still going, and he's finally pushed out of bounds. But that'll do the contest. So Leuzinger firmly shuts the door on the Cougars tonight with a final score of 46-15, led in large part by the efforts of Therian Fontenot, who scored on touchdowns from every conceivable distance. I won't even bore you with those details. You saw the game. But Leuzinger, David, wins the 1999, the final Mayor's Cup of the millennium.
Wow.
Goes to the
That's deep.
Leuzinger Olympians. History will one day record the fact that the Leuzinger Olympians won the final cup of the millennium.
I tell you, we'll be around to tell. But they'll, of course, play next year. The first game of the new millennium will be down at Leuzinger. And what's left for these teams, you ask? Well, of course, this will be the last regular season game that we'll see Leuzinger on Channel 22. For those of you out there who want to follow Leuzinger in their last game, they'll play at Santa Monica next week, and we believe that will be a night game according to the schedule. Double check it, but I believe it is going to be at night, we are told. These Hawthorne Cougars will have their last regular season game next week against the Beverly Hills Normans, and we will do that ball game. And you would want to check your local papers wherever you are. Of course, the Daily Breeze is a very good source for the Bay League as we get down toward postseason time to find out when the seedings will be. The seedings will be in about another 10 days or so following after next week's games, and we'll find out where Leuzinger will go. Will they maybe get a chance to play at home? And it would be good to get to see them play one first-round home game. There's a possibility, and of course, we will have, to the best of our ability, we will have Leuzinger's postseason coverage for you. So next time we see them, Rufus, it will be in the postseason. Next time we see Hawthorne, it will be right here next week in the finale against Beverly Hills.
Exactly. So, what? So once again, from Halcap Field, our final tonight in the Mayor's Cup contest has the Leuzinger Olympians winning by a score of 46-15 as they capture the Mayor's Cup. And there you see a glancing shot of the Mayor's Cup. You see both mayors down there. That's Mayor Harold Hoffman in the suit. In the red jacket is Mayor Larry Guidi of Hawthorne. Mayor Hoffman, of course, representing Lawndale. And they're going to present, and that's Mayor Guidi, who has the duty of handing the trophy over to Leuzinger and watching it go down Hawthorne Boulevard and hanging a left on Rosecrans as it works its way over to Prairie, to Leuzinger High School. So there you see a shot of us there, and it's been fun. But like you said, we've got some more football left, fans, and that's the important thing, as David told you. Next week we're back here at Hawthorne High School, and in 2 weeks we'll be somewhere with Leuzinger in the first round of the 99 playoffs. So for the entire crew at Lawndale's Community Cable Channel 22, for David Marks, I'm Rufus Washington saying good night.